What's up, y'all? This is Lost in Seattle, and today we're going to speak a little bit on critical race theory. What is it? They tell you it's a simple thing, but then when you try to look it up and find somebody that explain it in simple terms, it comes off the most ridiculously confusing thing
it's
ever.
Convoluted, it's muddy.
It's like it's
they
very
just
vague.
threw everything in one damn basket.
But when I actually did, and I'll show y'all the article, but they recommended an article written by a man who I think gave the best example of it. But yeah, so when you say critical race theory, there was a woman who was actually she had to resign from her job because she said that any parents who are against it, she wants them, she's okay with them, just let them die, basically.
This should mean like let them die out.
So let's meet and remain steadfast in speaking truth, tearing down double standards, and refuting double talk. Let's not allow any double downing on lies. Let's prepare our children for a world they deserve. Let's deny this off-key band of people that are anti-education, anti-teacher, anti-equity, anti-history, anti-racial reckoning, anti-opportunities, anti-help people, anti-diversity, anti-platform, anti-science, anti-change agent, anti-social justice, anti-healthcare, anti-worker, anti-LGBTQ+, anti-children, anti-healthcare, anti-worker, anti-environment, anti-emissions policy change, anti-inclusion, anti-live and let live people. Let them die. You don't let these uncomfortable people.
So yeah, she had to resign for saying that, obviously. And then there was another, if y'all know this guy named James O'Keefe, I think it is, on Project Veritas. He did a video where some guy was saying that there's a toy company or something like that that's putting critical race theory inside of some of their teaching to their employees.
Behaviors.
2-year-old racist is just an absurd concept.
By 3 to 6 months, babies are beginning to notice and already express preference by race. By age 3, children are already starting to apply stereotypes. They also may use racist language intentionally at this age.
I think this is where the math starts to slip a little bit.
Is this what people are talking about regarding critical race theory?
This is critical race theory in practice.
So yeah, they saying that's critical race theory of 2-year-olds and all this stuff. Now I will say this, I mean, this is just me thinking out loud for a second, but I mean, if you are a particular, let's say you're a black kid, baby, and your parents are black, won't you have a certain level of this is what's normal in your brain? So when you see somebody who's not black, wouldn't they be considered abnormal? Wouldn't you have a preference for how your parents look? Isn't that normal? And that's not just amongst, that's every race. So yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure at 2, 3, 4 years old, kids have a certain level of preference for their army. Look at the baby doll test they do. I mean, I think that's pretty normal. But the thing that happened came from this. Texas itself decided to crack down on a couple other states, decided to get in on it too. Twitter reacts to Texas bill ending teaching requirement that KKK is morally wrong. You think it's okay for Texas to end the teaching? No, they didn't just do the KKK, they did a couple other things, but you think Texas should go along with that?
It's morally wrong for them to say that the Ku Klux Klan is what they did was wrong.
Well, they really saying is this: they don't want them to have to teach about it. It's not required to teach about the KKK, Martin Luther King.
So they want to erase history.
Is it erasing?
If you don't bring it up and you don't talk about it, it's erasing it.
Okay,
because future people, unless their parents teach it to them, they won't know.
Isn't that better?
That's better, but okay, why do we teach history as far as the Greek and the Egyptians and all that type of stuff?
I think that's more from a historical context.
But why do we need to know about that?
Global history. It's not cultural. It's meant to be.
For them, it's cultural.
Well, I guess. It's their system.
Exactly. So they only want you to be taught stuff that's positive from their system.
I guess so. A recently passed Texas bill was trending on Twitter Tuesday afternoon as critics reacted to legislation that would limit education about race in American history. The bill, which was passed in Texas State Senate on Friday, removes several curriculum requirements in school, including teaching students that the Ku Klux Klan and white supremacy are morally wrong. The bill removes writings by civil rights activist Cesar Chavez and suffrage Susan B. Anthony, lessons about Native American history, Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech, and more for required curriculum. The bill means students would no longer be required to learn about the history of white supremacy, including but not limited to the institution of slavery, the eugenics movement, and KKK, and the ways in which it is morally wrong. Now, when they say that morally wrong thing, they talking about this here. You see here the history of white supremacy, including but not limited to the institution of slavery, the eugenics movement, and the Ku Klux Klan, and the ways in which it is morally wrong. That was in the bill. This seems, I think we know what this is really about, but we'll get to that. It's trying to erase MLK, Cesar Chavez, and Susan B. Anthony from the Texas curriculum and recast the KKK as the good guys. One person reacted to the bill on Twitter. This is assault on history and must be stopped. I don't know if they're saying they're the good guys.
Unless they're physically rewriting the Ku Klux Klan's history and putting it in a book, painting them as good guys.
Yeah.
You could say that, but they haven't actually done that, so you can't say that.
Saying you're not required to learn about them isn't the same as saying they're the good guys. It's like you said, it's really just them hiding the dirty hands, basically. When Jim Crow was first established, the process was slow, one outrage at a time. The state laws are systematically altered over the decade. I'm sure some people thought, look at that, another crazy thing, and went on with their lives. Another tweeted, don't repeat history, History in Texas House of Representatives are currently in Washington, D.C., where they travel to hold or block a restrictive voting bill in the state. While the new education bill has been passed in Senate, it won't have a chance to become a law until Democrats return to the House votes, put it to a vote. Now, hold on. By the way, is that even, how mature is that for the Democrats to just leave the damn state instead of just going on with the vote? If you lose, you lose. I don't get it. You're just leaving the state. People who voted for you are like, I guess you could say the people who voted for them would be hoping that they would do something to stop the bill from passing, so they're cheering for them. Yeah, they're cheering for them to leave the state in order to stop the vote.
But you're gonna have to eventually come back.
At some point, you're gonna come back,
and the bill gonna be passed.
Like it's nothing you could do. The bill was authored by Republican State Senate Brian Hughes, who argued it would combat the pernicious, wrong, and harmful effects of critical race theory, which is not currently taught in Texas public schools. So in the bill, they never really mentioned critical race theory. They kind of just went through the tenets of what they believe critical race theory is. And once again, you go all over the place, you won't find nobody who actually tell you what it is. It's the most ridiculous thing ever.
Because once again, they're using black people, pain and suffering, to get something passed to include everything under the sun in it.
Yeah, you can see right here they dropped the teaching requirement. This is another article by Huffington Post, but they went into it more from the other side. Measure slices out more curriculum requirements is already restricted Texas bill passed last month. Today, fear-mongering the critical race theory, a framework for studying institutional racism that is rarely taught in K through 12 schools. The term critical race theory is not explicitly mentioned in either the law that passed in the current state bill. He said, though the new bill essentially erases the cautionary lessons to be learned from the Ku Klux Klan, Republican Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick praised the legislature for rejecting philosophies that espouse that one race or sex is better than the other. Parents want their students to learn how to think critically, not be indoctrinated by the ridiculous leftist narrative that America and our Constitution are rooted in racism. Patrick, who presides over the Senate, added to the statement, the legislation must be considered to the House.
Is it not rooted in racism?
See, that's the thing. Once again, this is why they started that, what's it called, 1776 project to go at to 1619. They want to say that America started in 1776. What's funny enough is around the time that the idea of race began, people, black, white, that used to be actually on the list, yellow, red, that was the actual races. Nobody walks around and calls Native Americans red people no more. Nobody walks around and calls Asians yellow people.
They
still walk around and call yellow. White people white and black people black, but they don't use the other names. But that's not real. White, black, that's when people say that is a institution, that's not a lie. That's true. It's not real. Race used to be your lineage. That's what it used to be. What do your lineage go back to? That's your race. But they destroyed that because they want to hide real history. We know what that's about. But when you get to all this, let's talk about what is critical race theory. Now, critical race theory itself came from another theory, I guess you would call it, critical theory. Critical theory is a Marxist movement. So critical race theory came from a Marxist movement. Do with that as you will. But we're gonna read this article here, some of it at least, written by Dr. Tommy J. Curry. I'm pretty sure a lot of y'all already know him. He's the one who wrote the book, The Man Not, and others. He wrote about critical race theory and the uproar around it. And I thought he probably gave the best breakdown of where it comes from and what it's supposed to be. So I'll just read this right here. We tend to think that racism will one day be overcome, but this belief is incremental progress isn't shared by many black scholars. The much maligned and misunderstood founder of critical race theory, Derek Bell, pronounced racism a permanent feature of American society. His argument that the very foundations of liberal democracy in the United States make equality between white and black people impossible might be hard to accept, but it remains valid, writes Tommy Curry. So what he's saying right there is, when he say racism, I take it as there needs to be a permanent underclass in America. As long as America exists, as long as any great kingdom or society exists, there needs to be a bottom caste society.
And that's why you're black.
Exactly.
And they're white because they're at the top.
See, black and white are designated labels to people in a hierarchy. Black is bottom, white is up top.
And whoever else is
closest
in between.
To white, closest to white, the better society is to you. Closest to black, the worse it is. So what he's saying with that to me is the same way back then in the 1700s, early 1800s, when they understood they needed a permanent slave class for free labor. I mean, think about it. Imagine starting a company and never having to worry about expenses, only profits. You don't have to pay nobody. Everything is free. All you gotta do is make profits from it. You will be a millionaire in a year. So they still need a permanent underclass. That's why you have some stuff like prison, the prison industrial complex. Private prisons are the idea of a private prison is ridiculous. You're literally creating a prison for criminals. You need criminals to be in the prison, which means laws have to be made to criminalize people.
And the only thing they've done different now is they're just willing to sacrifice white people to have them do some slave wages too, but they still predominantly affect black people the most.
You are the permanent slave class in this society.
They'll throw a couple of their own in to not make it look like it is what it is, but
we know it is what it is.
You're the bottom.
The recent debate over critical race theory in the United States is more evidence of the irreconcilable and anti-black racism within democracies are controlled and managed by white. Following the lead of former President Donald Trump, many states have passed legislation demanding that conversations about anti-black racism and the violence of whites be banned from primary schools and university curricula. The policies aim to not only silence the criticisms made by black and other non-white scholars over the last 3 centuries, but hope to repair the alleged damage black radicalism has had on the ethnos and virtues of white civilization. To me, what he's saying is white culture is falling right now. We all see it. If you pay attention to what's going on in America and the American or the white Anglo-Saxons image of America, it's been falling for the last 20 years, maybe more. Yeah. So they understand that with the movement that's going on in America, which, let's be honest, it is Marxist, their society is crumbling because there's no such thing as a successful multicultural society. Even when you have multiple cultures or races in one country, there needs to be a dominant society. See, America at one point was a Euro Christian
quote unquote
Christian quote unquote a European Christian capitalist country. But that changed when you brought in Social Security and stuff in the early, so that kind of changed American society. And in order to stay a capitalist country, because they got rid of their gold, they have to do war. Their culture has fallen since the 60s with the sexual freedom movements, which led to the destruction of their relationships, which lowered their birth rates, which means you have a country that doesn't have enough people in the future to fill out their economy. So what do? They allow people from other countries to come to their country so that they could be workers. Ain't enough people in America to work for the next 50 years.
Yeah, they like to get people from Norway and Poland and Germany come over here and do the more the higher up stuff, and then they allow they
have to go get Indians to do the tech.
Indians too, and they like to get the Mexicans and stuff to come over and do stuff for
South
lower wages.
Yeah, Central and South America are for farming, low wage jobs,
landscaping.
Yeah, Asian, Indian, which is Asian as well, and and Europeans are for doctor, scientist type stuff.
Yeah.
They try to brain drain those countries, and even Africa for that matter. They bring them in too for certain quota hirings and stuff like that. But yeah, at the same time, talks of critical race theory has been adopted and gentrified by academics without any relevant training and engagement. As a result, critical race theory has been watered down. Even as it has been demonized by the right, it has therefore important to underline the unique approach to understanding the relationships between race, power, and liberal democratic institutions. Unlike traditional civil rights, which embraces incrementalism and step-by-step progress, critical race theory questions the very foundations of the liberal order, including equality theory, legal reasoning, enlightenment rationalism, and neutral principles of constitutional law. One of the key theses of the critical race theory is that racial equality under the current system of liberal American constitutional democracy is impossible. So yeah, he kind of went in on how they're really just taking over critical race theory to make them pat themselves on the back. How while the right is against it, the left really is using it to live out their fantasies that they're not like the other people. But even with that, they still need you at the bottom so they can live their fantasy out that they're the good guy. Doesn't that sound like somebody? Doesn't that sound like the Democratic Party? They constantly promise you all this stuff and tell you how wrong you've been done, but yet they don't do anything to actually improve your situation.
They've done nothing to get you out of being at the bottom.
So they need you there so they can keep selling you the dream. So the critical race theory situation, it's a culture war going on in America really for the last 2 or 3 years, really for the last 5 years. That's why Trump was voted in. A lot of middle America, rural America, they understand that their country isn't the same. They see more people that don't look like them on television. Some of those people that don't look like them for the first time are moving to their cities. I don't know if people understand this, that there's a lot of places in America where there was nobody that wasn't white there. Everybody was white, 100%. Now they're seeing
mainly
black.
middle America.
Yeah, now they're seeing white. Now they're seeing black people. They're seeing Arabs. They're seeing Mexicans, South Americans. They're seeing all these other people, and they're like, what's going on? And these people don't share their culture. They don't believe in the Bible, even though they don't believe in the Bible either. But the point is, they don't share their religion. They don't share their culture, and they wear their culture on their sleeve. They walk around let you know that they're Muslim. So it's a culture war. And then obviously with the sexual rights and all that other stuff, this country is really done already. They've
been getting the white man ass out of here for a long time because we as black men, we don't have power.
No.
So they've been trying to take down
we don't have power in this country. Yeah. We don't have legal systematic power.
Hell, the men in Africa don't have power.
How don't they?
Because their government is ran by Europeans.
No, that's just people that's selling out. They got power. They're just selling out. There's a difference.
They selling out.
But that's the difference between.
They're being controlled.
There's a difference between selling out and not having power. You have power, but you're selling out versus not having none. There's a difference. But yeah,
they don't have power.
Huh?
They don't have power.
How is it not power? If I can do something but I choose not to do it, that's power in choosing. Options.
So you think they choose not to do it?
Yes. How the hell you have an option, you choose to do something else and you didn't choose that? That's an option. That's power.
Okay.
I can make an argument. I can say black people in America do have a certain level of power. You just don't use it. But yeah, this whole critical race theory thing, the reason why they're so against it is because it is a attack on what they believe is the foundation of America. When you tell them that the founding fathers were all slave owners, when you tell them that a lot of this stuff that's going on in this country as far as race has been here since the beginning, you can't really tell the people who are supposed to be the dominant society how wicked they are, because their kids, they understand that imaging and what you say out there influence children and how they view themselves. They can't have little Susan and little what's the name for little Kevin, but growing up believing that they ain't shit.
Well, that's too late. It's already coming out. They're already being exposed and saying now that their fathers have told them lies. Their mother fathers have told them lies. That's why they're trying to block out this critical race theory, even though they have so much stuff in it that you go, okay, what does that have to do with critical race theory?
Well, it's supposed to be a commentary or a discussion. You're supposed to be critiquing, the critique of race power, and economics.
But
But how much do these things influence each other?
But when you throw stuff in there like LGBTQ plus, that don't really go into critical race theory, because now they're trying to.
Well, see, that's the thing.
They're making LGBTQ plus a damn race.
That's what his article. That's what he wrote. He's saying they're gentrifying it. It was supposed to be about black people.
Exactly.
Or even I'll go as far as to say non-white people. But it's being taken over as a pretty much an all umbrella.
Well, they'll say non-white people, but put black people as the face of it to sell it.
Well, that's okay, yeah, but that's not the point where it was started from, at least. And like I said, it did come from a Marxist movement. So I'm finding out a lot of these people from the 60s and 70s, man, 40s, even the 50s, a lot of them are interconnected somehow in their philosophy. So
a lot of black ones.
Yeah, that's what I care about. I'm not talking about all the other ones. The black ones, a lot of them share certain beliefs that you kind of go, oh no, another enlightener.
Berkeley,
California is
Berkeley, California.
Yeah,
that's where the meeting place was.
But yeah, but that's that. I'm gonna do another video on this at some point to go deeper into critical race theory. I'm gonna leave this article in the comments section. Oh, not the comments, but the description. But a lot of this uproar from the Republicans, to me, also is about them understand there's something planned down the road. Keep in mind, they gave you Juneteenth when you didn't ask for it. You start to hear all this chatter about reparations, and then they try to give you critical race theory. Now, keep in mind, the Republicans, all them Republican, Democrat, overwhelmingly supported Juneteenth. But yet they came out, and some of them even came out and bashed Juneteenth, said it was creating a separation. I've seen people call critical race theory a segregationist belief. When you talk about it, the difference between races and stuff, you're creating segregation, and it's like, how's that
it's differences.
I don't know.
Difference in culture, it's difference in looks, it's difference.
Well, but yeah, I think there's something planned down the road as to why certain people are pushing certain agendas. They got something down the road 5 to 10 years from now where they'll look back at this moment and say, see, look what we did. So I don't know what it is. It is what it is. These people look 50, 100 years in the future to see how they can manipulate society. So it is what it is.
They ain't got 100 years. They ain't got 50 years, I don't believe. They ain't got 30 years, I don't believe.
But yeah, man. But that's that on that. That's what we got to say about that. Like I said, we'll probably at some point go deeper into this if it continues to cause so much anger and uproar. Because once again, I read his article. I get what it's supposed to be. I still don't understand the anger behind it. I still don't get it. So if you get it, let me know in the comment section. But anyway, man, y'all be safe. All praise to the Most High, and peace.